In the early 1900s, a French farmer noticed two wolves approaching him. He quickly climbed a nearby tree to avoid confronting them, and was undetected in doing so. What he saw and heard was astonishing. The wolves began to talk, and one of them offered some snuff, which he had stored behind his tail, to the other. The werewolves left the snuff box behind, and the farmer was able to trace it to a local man. The farmer was careful not to reveal any names until one of the werewolves died of a natural cause, and marks on his gravestone resembling those of a wolf were found. In the mid-1700s, babies were dying in what is now Beijing, China. Wherever they struggled for life, an owl was always observed nearby. Hearing of the owl, an archer waited in the room where yet another baby was dying. Once spotted, he shot the owl, which left a trail of blood while escaping. Following the trail, the archer discovered a servant girl who was incapacitated by a wound to her loin. She admitted leaving her room at night to feed on the baby's brains. She was burned alive, and the epidemic came to a close. The story of Lycaon, which originated in Greek mythology, has been viewed as one of the first werewolf stories ever. According to legend, Lycaon was a cruel leader of a cult. Rumors of the atrocities committed by Lycaon and his cult made their way back to the god Jupiter, who decided to investigate. He found these rumors to be fact and decided to reveal his identity to the cult. The members immediately paid homage to Jupiter. However, Lycaon did not believe that he was a real god and prepared a feast for him consisting of human flesh. If Jupiter was truly a god, he would recognize the meal and decline to eat it, since cannibalism was a great sin. Jupiter immediately noticed what the feast consisted of. To avoid Jupiter's wrath, Lycaon fled to the countryside. Once there, he found out what Jupiter had in store for him. Slowly, he began to transform into a man-wolf. The term lycanthropy was derived from Lycaon's name. In the Northumberland country of Pennsylvania, a tale is told of a young sheep herder and her lycanthropic admirer. The young girl was a cheerful child and liked by everyone in the community, especially a solitary old man who everyone regarded with fear. The old man would always follow the young girl and also sit and watch her as she tended to her father's flock of sheep. Although many wolf attacks were reported even during broad daylight, the flock that the young girl tended to remained unharmed. This went on for several years until a farmer spotted a wolf in the moonlight. He took a shot at it, and the wolf cried out, then retreated into the bushes. When the man went to check if his shot had killed the wolf, he found the old man dead with a bullet in his chest. The girl continued to tend to her sheep herd, and never once was it attacked by wolves. In the 1930s, perched hidden in a tree, an English physician witnessed a very special ceremony. It started with the beating of drums. Then a Nyanga, witch doctor, covered in the skin of a jackal, jumped into the center of the crowd and began to chant. The chanting grew louder, and the energy of the crowd grew as well. In the middle of the circle, the Nyanga prepared a potion, and as the silence came to a halt, he drank the potion and unleashed the cry of a jackal. The Nyanga worked himself into a frenzy beyond his physical ability. and then fell into a trance. During the trance, a man and a woman jumped into the circle and performed a dance which became increasingly animal-like as it progressed. Then, in an instant, the two turned into jackals before the physician's very eyes. In the mountains of Auvergne, a story was told of a royal female werewolf. In the story, a nobleman was gazing out of his window and noticed a hunter he knew. He asked him to check back with details of the hunt. While in the forest, the hunter encountered the wolf, and in the ensuing struggle, he severed one of the wolf's paws. He placed the paw in his knapsack and returned to the castle with his prize. When he opened the knapsack to show the nobleman evidence of his encounter, they discovered that there was no paw at all. In fact, the knapsack contained a woman's hand wearing a gold ring. Recognizing the ring as that of his wife's, the nobleman decided to question her about her daily activities. When he went into her room, he found her concealing her arm. Once uncovered, the lack of a hand revealed her true identity. Upon further questioning, she admitted to being the wolf with whom the hunter encountered, and by her confession, she marked herself for certain execution. It is said, when the holy Patricios, Saint Patrick, was preaching Christianity in that land, there was one great race more hostile to him than the other people that were in the land, and these men tried to do him many kinds of injury. And when he preached Christianity to them as other men, and came to meet them when they were holding their assembly, then they took this counsel to howl at him like wolves. But when he saw that his message would succeed little with these people, then he became very wroth and prayed God that he might avenge it on them by some judgment, that their descendants might forever remember their disobedience. And great punishment and fit and very wonderful has since befallen their descendants. For it is said that all men who come from that race are always wolves at a certain time, and run into the woods and take food like wolves. And they are worse in this, that they have human reason, for all their cunning and such desire and greed for men as for other creatures. And it is said that some become so every 7th year, and are men during the interval, and some have it so long that they have 7 years at once, and are never so afterwards. In the jungles of Peru, natives use a potion similar to the magic salve used by the medieval werewolves. The salve produces a hallucinogenic effect, which puts them in touch with the spirit world. Once there, they can take on the shapes of such animals as tigers, panthers, jaguars, and snakes. In other societies, there are more wares than just wolves.